Hi, my name is Willan Ziada, and I'm a New York City-based director and creator of theater, television, and film, and I'm also a proud FENIX Global Artist Ambassador. Today, I am thrilled to be speaking with a Renaissance man in the music world. He is an award-winning musician, composer, engineer, technical director, and he has worked as a producer in TV, film, animation, the Olympics. He does it all. His name, Craig Calhoun. For more on Craig, you can read more about him right below this interview. But in the meantime, here is a sneak peek at the incredible talent of Craig Calhoun.
On the bass, they call me CC.
Well, good morning from New York City. It is nighttime in Sydney, Australia, where I am so thrilled to be joined by an international superstar, Mr. Craig Calhoun. The audience just got a little sneak peek of your incredible talent, but Craig, my friend, you do it all. And if you don't mind, I want to start from the beginning. Okay. Born in the United States, raised in Germany on your dad's military, well, where he was posted, right? And that's where your love of music began. Talk a little bit about that.
Well, it actually began before that. It's my mother's side of the family. So,
oh, wow.
My early memories are, sitting on the front porch and my grandfather playing guitar. And my mother was a singer, and her brothers also both played guitar. So she was performing with them at the age, I think, 16. And then her brother moved to Kansas, and she wasn't allowed to go until she graduated. So she then went to Kansas, and then from there to Colorado Springs. And my father had come back, he was in the military already, and he saw her perform and just told his friend, I'm gonna marry that woman. And that's where it started.
Wow, what a great story.
And for me, with the music side of it, it always been a part of me. But I had a dream when I was about 9 years old that I was on stage at a big outdoor festival, just rocking the crowd. And that feeling that I had on stage when I finished, when I woke up, that was what I wanted to do. I wanted to pursue that. And so I started, I got a hold of a guitar and started teaching myself a little bit. I didn't even know how to tune it. I just used to look at album covers and turn it in the same direction as the picture, thinking that I'm playing like that guitar. So now Jimi Hendrix, And then at the age of 11, not long after that, my father came home one day and said, how would you like to go to Germany? And I said, well, I wouldn't. And sure enough, we ended up moving to Germany. We had been there, I think, for just over a year or so. And I'm the oldest of 7 kids, and the only one that took to music. But my parents went out one night, and my mother got up and sang with this band, and they found out who she was and where she lived, and came and asked her to sing with the band. So on the weekends, she would do that, and I'd get to go along. So that was my, grounding in live performance.
That's amazing. So, I mean, not only it was in your bone marrow, obviously from your family, but also what was around you. And, Jimi Hendrix was a huge influence on your life. Are there any particular elements of his musicianship and his artistry that you found that you've taken on and, made your own throughout, beginning as a young kid?
Well, I was totally into Hendrix, and what I didn't realize is that I was hearing more than one guitar. I didn't know that there were multi-track guitars. And so just after that, we moved back to California, and I saw somebody slap the bass. And that was like, wow, that's what I want to do. And I had a cousin who gave me a bass, and I would spend 5-6 hours a day just doing that. And at the age of 16, I was playing in nightclubs with, adults, sneaking in. But, I really persevered, and it's been my
I
whole
love
life.
that. And I also love Craig, from a very young age, you would wake up from those dreams and it was that feeling. It was that emotion. You were essentially manifesting
Yeah.
what you knew in your gut you were going to do. And shortly thereafter, in your teenage years, at the ripe old age of 19, you sign a huge production deal. Talk about how that happened for you and your band at the age of 19.
We were performing in this little restaurant, and towards the end of the night, a couple of guys came in, sat down, and when we finished to play the last song, one came up and said, "Listen, we'll give you $100 if you play another song." So we played another song, and he came up and he said, "Here's another 100 if you play one more." And so we did two songs, and then we had to stop, and we went over and had a chat. And they said, "We've come down from San Francisco. We've started a production company, and we came down here scouting talent. And you guys are the only things we've come across, and we'd like to offer you this deal." So we looked at the contract, and it was 5 pages, and it went from 5 pages to 25 pages because we got Linda Ronstadt's lawyer, who had done his birthday party. And as part of the deal, he rewrote the contracts. So we were flown to San Francisco. We were given a 5-bedroom house, 16-track studio with 2 engineers on call, and we got paid $300 a week to be in the studio from 11 till 5, just creating music. And
by the way, Craig, not any studio. This is Heider you're talking about, right?
Yeah, 6 months into the project, we went into Wally Heider in San Francisco, and we were there for a couple of months, just recording, and being flown between San Francisco and Wally Heider in LA with horn and string arrangements. And we were just a hardcore funk band, because that was the stuff that was happening then. But they brought in an arranger from Count Basie's orchestra, and it had all these strings and big production on it, and was so far removed from where we were that, when we met the main investor, we got a chance to, say, "Listen, we're not really happy with this." And he ended up having a discussion with the guy that found us, and then found out there was money being embezzled. And the whole project stopped within 2 weeks, just finished.
Oh
Just
my goodness.
So it was a real overnight rags to riches sort of story,
Yeah, right. You get the $100. You're flying all over the place. You're with Linda Ronstadt's lawyer, who you did a private party for. You're in Heider Studio, and then boom. And then when the rug was pulled out after you, how did you and your bandmates move on from there in terms of your next steps?
Well, for me, it was just like, okay, well, what's next? I'm
I
on
know.
this trajectory,
That's
but
right.
for a couple of the other guys, they just gave up music, and we got back to Southern California. And I said, "Listen, let's put a band together, let's keep it going." If I book some gigs, and we did one gig, and then there was a club I went to, and they had a sign out the front, paid auditions for bands. And so I went there one afternoon, and I'm speaking to the owner, and I show him the brochures and everything that we had going. And he said, "I don't want any Black people in my club." Just straight up, and I just thought, whoa. And I thought, well, if this is what I've got to deal with here, then why stay here? So I had seen something else, been to another country. So I just ended up buying a one-way ticket to Germany, and went back there, went to a music store and played a bit, and left my contact. And then I got a call to do a European tour with the Supremes. So
Craig, that's amazing. And again, I just love tracking this for you. I'm a director, so it's like I love tracking the narrative of your life. And it all began as that little boy who would have these dreams of playing in these big concert arenas with people screaming. And you knew exactly, with blinders on, where you were going. And you just kept moving forward, egoless. And when I also think about everything that you do, and for the audience who doesn't know who you are, it's you're a composer, you're an engineer, you're a tech director, you're a music producer, You've done television, film, animation, games, 360 sound design. You have been able to use your bliss, your
Yeah.
craft as an artisan,
Mhm.
and parlay it into not only all of these amazing different disciplines, but as band leader of Craig Calhoun in the Brothers of Oz,
Yeah.
it's not only something that you host and do, but it's also a mentorship
Of course. Yeah.
program. And this is those other little boys and girls out there that had probably those same dreams that you did. Talk a little bit about the founding of the Craig Calhoun and the Brothers of Oz, as well as the mentorship you do through that.
Um, well, once I got to Australia, I ended up playing with, all the top names here and touring a lot. And being such a big country, you didn't fly back then. So you were on the road a lot. And my first daughter was born, and I thought, well, I need to cut back on this. So I then decided to get into doing jingles, advertising jingles. But I still wanted to play live. So I thought, okay, I'll do this band where I'll call it the Brothers of Oz, and I'll just ring musicians that I want to play with. And if they're available, then we do these shows. I'll pick a bunch of songs that they probably know. And because you're of that standard, you can all just go on stage and you play. So there's no set list, there's no rehearsals. It's just, let's get up here and do this. And so for me, it keeps it fresh. And, because everybody's a musician and you're listening, it just moves very much like what Miles Davis did, just let it flow. And that's what it was about. And to date, there's been over 140 different musicians that have played with me, and
Well,
they stay for different lengths of time.
but Craig, that's amazing, because I want to backtrack a little bit, because not only are you giving back your knowledge, but you are able to pass a baton of a craft. And a craft, by the way, you've opened, for so many incredible artists in your early career. And I'm curious to know, are there any in particular that you have fond memories of?
I'm opening for. I'm opening for Santana because at the sound check, I met Buddy Miles. He was singing lead vocals. And I was so like, nice to meet you, Carlos, but Buddy. And I ended up just hanging out with Buddy Miles because, that for me, that's the direct connection to Hendrix.
Oh my God, that's like, I talk about manifestation.
Oh yeah, I've had some really crazy things happen, and I'm quite spiritual with dreams, and I've had a lot of dreams where I'd be on different stages, and they've all come to pass except that very first one. I would dream at some point of being out at a particular place, and I'd find myself in Europe, years later, and this is where that is, and those are the people, and so there have been like barriers that
Craig, I'm so with you, my friend. I'm definitely the same way. I was a performer for 25 years with my twin brother, and as a little kid, I would wake up in night sweats because I saw my brother and I performing at Carnegie Hall. And, when I would tell my mom and dad this, they're like, oh, but that's something you might do later in life as a retrospective. I'm like, no, but we're going to be younger. We're going to be younger. And fast forward, 2016, we had co-headlined Carnegie Hall, and my parents at the end were like, well, you were right, you and your little woo-woo dreams. So yeah. I get it.
That's pleasing to hear, man, because they're markers that you're on your path.
That's right. And now as a director, a lot of people thought I was crazy, but for some odd reason I knew. Now this is turning into a therapy session, Craig. I'll pay you extra, but I feel like I can speak with a spiritual brother of mine from across the world. But it was after that Carnegie experience, I was like, oh, now I can become a director, which I feel is my true bliss. Which is, I love working with actors. There's a mentorship in that. To get someone, and you get this, right? There's something exciting about getting the best out of another artist,
Because I know with that, you talk about mentorship, with the band, every person that's on stage, I say to them, I'm one of the audience. So you have free reign to be as big as you want to be. There's no ego here. I want you to entertain me as well, you know, and you know what I get out of that is just incredible what people do. And
what a great thing. And Craig, I'm very similar because at the end of the day, you're a fan of music. At the end of the day, I'm a fan. You know, I mainly do theater, but I've also, you know, directed concert artists. And it's like, I'm coming in it as a fan. I love that. Well, this is also affirming for me because, you know, you have a new like #1 fan in me. And, you know, not only, my friend, are you an incredible artist, you've also achieved so much, and you are too humble to mention some of it, but I will. You have been a composer of 2-time gold medal world aerobic champion Marcus Irwin. You were an entertainment producer for the Olympics. You were on MTV's Top 20 Countdown. You've co-composed ABC TV Saturday morning music program. You've done hip hop tours. You've done it all, and you're like, I feel like, have they knighted you in Australia? Do they have that? Who do I have to call, Craig?
I don't know, but for me, it's music. It's
I
music.
know, but see, it's that little boy in you, right?
Gifts.
That no matter who it is, no matter where it is, you're doing the thing, whether it's for $100 at a restaurant or with Santana, right?
Yeah, and you know, like I've been teaching part-time digital recording at one of the colleges here. And these young students, I'll say to them, if you ever want me to play bass on something of yours, and I say this to other peers as well, just give me a call. And I'm not asking for any money. I'm just saying, because I think that's one of the greatest gifts that we can exchange. And it's only the young ones that will ring me and say, hey, do you remember you said that? And I was like, yeah. And I'll come over and I'll play on the track. But, you know, a lot of my peers won't, they think I want something for it, you know, so they don't bother.
I know so many people are jaded by the business, right? I mean, you know, look at you, you've had your experiences. God knows I've had mine, but the fact that you're such a pure soul, that you literally are in it for passing along the knowledge. And, you know, this is what I'm also excited about you coming on board FENIX, you know, because it's this new social media app that, unlike anyone I've ever seen, it's going to connect people from around the world and artists around the world in a safe place. And my God, I'm thinking about all the artists out there who are going to get on board this thing, and, you know, wow, they are very lucky to have you
Really interesting.
as someone they can reach out to.
It's really interesting that before I had the connection made with you, I had actually come across FENIX.
Oh, really?
Yes. And so when I found out what it was, I was thinking back to, because I check out a lot of things, and I remember coming across it, and it was the spelling that made me, you know, assured me that, oh, that was that thing that I read about, you know. So
yeah, right. It does catch your eye, right? Because it's not, you know, PHOENIX.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Well, listen, I am so grateful to have met you, and it is because of FENIX I have been able to meet some incredible artists around the United States, but around the world. And you're an inspiration, not only with the art that you put out there, but also for, you know, the kind light and heart you put out there. And I'm very grateful to have spoken with you, Craig. And I look forward to, you know, continuing the conversation some other time as well.
I'd really like to do that, because I'd like to find out a bit more about your past, your involvement. I mean, you don't get to be who you are. Just be who you are.
We'll flip the interview next time. You'll interview me.
I'd like to do that. Yeah.
Well, listen, I mean, I felt, thank you for providing a safe space for me to even mention what I did mention. You have a beautiful aura and, again, spirit about you, in addition to your incredible artistry. So, Craig, thank you so much for speaking with me today.
See you, Will.
At age, artists and bands struggle to make a living. In fact, only a small number of artists can live off their craft. For the 98% of artists that don't have the luxury of being signed to a label, it's tough. But artists deserve to live off their art. Wherever you are around the world, appreciation of music does not change. FENIX brings bands and their fans together, whilst allowing bands to properly monetize their passion. The FENIX app will directly connect bands and fans with no need for middlemen. We're utilizing the blockchain to give the power back to the artist once and for all. Join FENIX, join the change.